When it comes to reaching Gen Z or young people in the local church, sometimes we're tempted to think that it takes a big budget, the bright lights, the fog machines. But the research tells us there are different, more impactful ways to reaching young people. Today in the Ministry Path podcast, I'm being joined by Paulo Tenorio. Welcome, Paulo. Good,
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
good.
Thanks for having me. I just call you bro.
That's right. I am.
Actually, Elder Chan. But if we're gonna be talking about young people, I guess we can call each other bro.
You got to talk the
Yeah.
lingo. You got to talk the lingo. I'm so excited to introduce Paulo. He's the youth director for the Southern California Conference, and he's all about young people and Gen Z and new generations. And I've been learning a lot from you about Gen Z. And today we're just going to have a conversation about how the local pastors, the local leaders, the lay people in the local church who love young people, but somehow sometimes we just don't have a way of understanding where they're coming from, how to minister to them, how to include them in the church. You tend to have a lot of experience with that. Tell us about how did you get started in ministry and what brought you to Southern California Conference?
Yeah. For me, it was probably around high school.
Mm,
So just trying to figure out what God wanted me to do, but at the same time, didn't feel called to do ministry.
hmm
So a pastor was making an altar call, and he just said, anybody that wants to be a missionary. And that's when I went forward.
mm,
I felt very impressed by the Holy Spirit. Stand up, go to the front.
mm.
So I did, and
How old are you?
I was 17. I was
Wow.
17, and so it was at a time that I wasn't sure what I was going to study.
hmm
So I went to South Korea, and in there, God challenged me in so many ways. One of the things for me was public speaking. I
Mm.
was extremely afraid of it,
You
and,
too? That's how I went.
that the same thing,
Yeah, I was
man.
super
For
shy.
for me, it was even raising my hand for like a prayer request in a small group
Mm.
would make me tremble, or like I would feel my heart just on my neck, like.
Mhm. Yeah, that's how
And
I
I
was.
was like, how can God use someone like me, um, pastoral work? And you have to understand, my dad was a pastor, my 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 grandfather, my uncles, and so it ran in the family, quote unquote.
Mhm.
But I was like, I'm not feeling called to do this. So in that missionary years where God really worked on my heart. And I mean, I was appointed to be an English teacher and Bible teacher, and had to stand up in front of kids every day.
Wow.
So moving in faith and standing on that path, God started to show me I can turn your weakness into a strength if you
Wow.
trust me.
Amazing.
So yeah, I was kind of like a teacher, but at the same time I was almost the same age as my students.
Mm.
Actually, some of my students were older, 18, 19. They just didn't know. Yeah.
Wow. So how old were you when you were there?
17.
At
17. I mean,
17 years old.
today they wouldn't
Wow.
allow it because I was a minor, but
Yeah.
this was some time ago.
So that reminds us that that in the local church, like that young people are responding to specific calls to serve and really following through with that. Like we shouldn't put it past young people to be able to respond to a spiritual call, right?
For sure. And not only that, I think something interesting is that at my local church, I was good for nothing. I was just
Mm,
another teenager. I was just sitting in the
mm,
back doing nothing. Uh, I remember just sitting with all the teenagers in the last pew on the right side of the church, and we'll talk about paintballing. We'll talk about fancy cars or this or that, and
You can say it, girls.
uh, it- not that particular group. We didn't,
No? Okay. All
honestly,
right.
we just didn't. There were we were. I wasn't a nerd. I would like to think, but there were more. I mean, they went into different paths, accounting, engineer. But anyways,
Mhm.
the whole thing right here that I'm trying to say is that once I crossed the ocean and I went to be a student missionary, then
Mm.
suddenly they were trusting me with so many things. Uh,
Wow.
they, as they started to see me develop, and they started to trust me with more things and more things and more things. And I remember they came to me and it's like, Paulo, we notice you're great in front of people. And I'm like, what? Yes, we want you to be our MC for the school banquet.
Mm.
And I was like, me? It's like,
Mm.
yes, you. And keep in mind, I've only had like 1 year in the States, so I had a strong accent. I didn't know grammar pretty well. And then they look at me and they're like, "Can you do a French accent? Because the theme is French banquet,
Mm.
Paris." And I was like, "I can't even do the American accent. What are you? What are you?"
And now they
But
want you to speak in French.
correct. And there I was, like, and so that year, God taught me so much. Actually, we took a short mission trip with the Adventist school in Korea to the Philippines. And they turned to me and they said, Paulo, we want you to be in charge of the children's program.
Mm.
And I'm like, me? It's like, yes, 300 kids.
Wow.
But back in Woodbridge, Virginia, in my Hispanic church of 40 people, I was good for nothing.
Wow.
And so this is why also sometimes I tell young people is you have to step out of your surroundings. And sometimes,
Oh.
uh, God may be calling you to go out somewhere else where He's gonna really make you step out of your comfort zone.
Mm.
And so,
Sometimes we discover the impact we can have when we're removed from our context.
yes, indeed, indeed,
Wow.
a lot of young people have no idea of the potential that they have if they were to put themselves under God's care.
Mm.
Uh,
Or they limit themselves by they say, okay, this is how I am because this is how I am here. But
or
God,
even the church. Come on, how many? This is when I go preaching at churches. I'm like, do you guys love your young people? Do you, care about them? Yeah. Do they have a voice in your church? Yeah. How many are in your church board? Crickets.
how many young people are
Yeah.
serving on the board?
Yeah.
Not too
Crickets
many.
is like,
Okay.
and so I'm like,
Like, what's your budget? Like, what's your budget for young
oh,
people?
that's another one. You love them? Let me see your finances to
That's
see
right.
if and so sometimes everyone else has a priority,
Hmm.
right? The new pews, the new this, but
Hmm.
your
The women's
children and
ministry,
your
the
and your
children's,
youth,
yeah.
it's just like it's a hole in the wall. And so I think just based on my experience, obviously, I would say there's a lot of things that our church could be doing better locally
Hmm.
and a conference level. I
Hmm.
would say though, uh, when I started pastoring, they gave me a chance to serve in the youth department at the age of 29.
Mm.
Back then, that was unheard of.
So you were serving in the local church as a pastor and then in Texas, is
Uh
that
huh.
correct?
Yeah, that was in Texas.
And then they asked you to be the youth director for the Texas conference.
Yeah, associate youth director.
Associate, okay.
But here's the
And that's
thing.
that's a very large
Y-
conference.
Yes, yes,
How many churches?
70,000 members.
S-
I don't know how many churches, but
Probably close to 200 or something like that.
that sounds about right.
70,000 members. That's a very large conference.
So that was unheard of, and I remember going to the youth director meetings, and it was a lot of 60 plus.
Mm.
Hopefully, none of them are going to be listening to this podcast. They could
Most
be
likely.
like, well, but now, even as a 40-year-old and God calling me back into the youth ministry, I I feel the difference
Mm.
back when I was 29 versus now.
Mm.
I have children now. I didn't have any children back then. I could travel. I could stay longer.
Yeah.
I could mingle. I
Could stay
could.
overnight.
It
Yeah.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
There was so much more. But now my mission is different. First comes my family. than the youth.
That's right, as it should be.
And so it's just like, you have to ponder upon, why is it that God so many times in the Bible chose not even young adults, but chose teenagers.
Mm.
Look at Daniel and his friends. Look at the disciples.
Many of them
Uh,
were, yeah,
I mean,
teenagers.
probably the only young adult among the disciples was Jesus, who was 30. We don't
Mhm.
want to think about Jesus as a 30-year-old.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, imagine how many conference presidents do you know that are 30?
Yeah, not too many.
Or and this is why also I believe, or we could even go into delegates, right?
Mhm.
I think that was a big complaint a few years, but I'm just saying, God constantly is choosing young people, and I'm not saying this to advocate for myself, because I'm no longer young. I'm 40 years old
Mm.
now. I have to help the younger generation to take on the baton and say,
Mhm.
I want to serve. I want to do it. I can do
Yeah.
it in the name of Jesus. Because too many of our young people think I got to be 45 before I can serve
Mm.
in church.
Mm. So what you're saying is that the that historically in the Bible, God has utilized young people, but in the church, we tend to be a little less
Oh yeah, a
trusting of the
lot
young people
less.
taking
Yeah,
leadership.
let's be honest. It's a lot less. If we were to run the numbers, this would probably be a good survey to do. How many young people do we have in our board meetings?
Mhm.
And so,
So there are some people who would say, "Oh yeah, we don't have young people because they don't show up, or they they show up late, or they're always on their phones." Right? Is that just an excuse, or or do they have a
I
legitimate concern?
I think it's an excuse. I mean, you could look at me back when I was a teenager, for example. I think if they would have believed that I had the potential to do it, I would have stepped forward.
Mm.
Um, but sometimes I say this. Sometimes even the people close to you. My dad's a pastor, great man, loves to reach for the lost and everything, and loves his church. But I remember one time we were going to have the church retreat, and this is a small church once again, but they asked me to be part of the worship team.
Mm.
And then my father was like, because I said, Dad, we got to go earlier to the retreat because I need
Mm.
to practice. They asked me to be part of the worship team.
Mm.
And my dad's natural reaction was like, they asked you? I
He said that to
He
you, huh?
said that. He said that. But that stuck right there. I don't
Mm.
know why, because I've pretty thick skin, but he generally said, and maybe it was my voice was changing at that time, that I was like, woo, you know. Um, but they had asked me when I went to college. I made the elite choir or whatever, and at some point they asked me to be part of um, this singing group. It reconcile, that was the name of it,
Mhm.
and we'll harmonize, and we did a CD, and we started doing a tour and everything. And I remember my dad calling me and said, Paulo, please, do you think you can bring your group to tour in my churches, my little Hispanic churches?
Mhm.
And the first thing that came through my mind, what do you think it was? They asked you to sing? you know and so it's like, sometimes, and this is what I tell young people, sometimes you gotta get out of your surrounding to
Mm.
grow,
Mm.
because sometimes, sadly, our churches don't believe.
Sometimes they don't see that leadership
They don't, but God
capacity.
does. And God has seen what he could do in my life, and therefore he sent that pastor to make that particular altar call about being a
Mm.
student missionary.
Yeah.
And then me going as a student missionary, and then God doing wild things in my
Yeah.
life that I was like, I didn't recognize myself at the end of the year. And
Wow.
so,
That really pushed you and developed you. And that's the power of giving young people an opportunity to serve. So yes, no question there are churches and there are people who maybe haven't quite seen the value of asking or empowering young people to serve in the local church. But let's say that some of our listeners were saying, "You know what? I do see that power. And we may not have too many young people in our church, but how can we effectively minister to and try to understand a little bit of how to equip young people to serve in the local church? What advice would you give them?
well, for example, I try to tell this also to the adults in the churches. It's like if you were to be a missionary and you were to be sent, I mean, let's just think of you, right? Danny Chan is sent as a missionary to the Amazon
Hmm.
River, to a um, little village that's never had access to like the known world or whatever. They're pretty, and we send you there as a missionary, and right there, as you're trying to get to know them, what you see that they're semi-naked, that they're only covering their private parts, or you see that their haircuts are funny, and very interesting, and that they paint their faces, and that they walk with, I don't know, a stick or something, and they have certain things that they do. What would make you an effective missionary?
Hmm.
Truly think about it. Like, give me your answer
Yeah.
right here.
So
What
somebody who doesn't assume that they have all the answers, someone who's gonna try to understand
you would try to
their
understand them,
culture.
their
Yeah.
culture.
Hmm.
You wouldn't want to dictate your culture on them,
No, 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 you can't. You can't
really?
you can't come in and say, "Hey, this is how you do it." It's like you have to have a learning kind of mindset about that culture, right?
Yes. So you would try to understand and then see where there are bridges that can be
That's right.
built
That's
among.
right. To find the commonality, and let's say you don't know the language or the culture, but oh, we have this in common. It's like, oh, you guys have this too. So you try to identify commonality and build on that.
Would you try to change the way they dress?
No, you can't. You can't change the way they
What about
dress.
their funny haircut?
I mean, it could be very sacred to them, or it could be like historically in their family. No, you can't change
Would
that.
you try to make them stop painting their face?
No, you can't do that. Certainly
Okay.
not initially, right?
Well, once again, to me, it would be like, is it biblical? Is that they have a funny haircut? Is it against the Bible?
Yeah,
If
but
they're killing one another, yeah, eventually I'm going
right,
to try to
right,
say, hey, did you know in the
right.
Bible? Let me tell you the Jesus message, right?
Mhm,
But before I even share Jesus,
mhm.
I'm going to try to build as many bridges as possible. As a
Mm,
matter of fact, I think me as a missionary, I would start doing their funny haircut.
You would
I
start
would
dressing like
I
them.
would
That's
start
right,
dressing
yeah,
exactly like them, just
yeah,
covering my private parts. And
that's
I
right.
would start painting my face, and I
Mm,
would try to, walk with the stick,
yeah,
and as many bridges as I can.
yeah.
Obviously, I wouldn't start killing people.
Right, right, right.
But as soon as they see the intentionality, wow, he's really trying to understand us.
Mhm.
He really cares about us.
Yeah, right.
Then, you know, then other things can be presented, to help them,
Yeah.
follow the Bible.
Mm.
But when it comes to church, sadly, when we are sent as missionaries to the younger generation, we don't do that.
Mm.
We're
Oh,
like,
interesting.
nah, you see, young man, you have a funny haircut. You need to
Mm.
cut your hair like us. You need to dress with a suit and a tie like us. You need
Mm.
to wear these shoes like us. You need to
Mm.
stop whatever it is without even trying to understand their culture, what they've gone through or whatever.
Mm.
And we're just like directly like, cutting any bridge
Oh,
possible.
wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying, like, we would do that in the mission field to people we don't even know,
Correct.
but to people that are in our church that we should love, we don't extend that courtesy.
Correct. And you have to understand as well that now, Gen Z's, anybody actually, millennials, whatever. Now there's so much access to the Bible
Mm.
and to go deeper in a more shallow way too. And what do I mean by that? You can just ask your questions to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Is having a funny haircut a sin? And then ChatGPT is going to give you a whole bunch of
Yeah,
text,
that's
and then
right.
you're going to, oh, so it's not a sin.
Mm.
So why did so and so try to shame me in front of the
Mm.
others to tell me that it's a
So
sin?
so a young person would look it up and say, "Why are they giving me a hard time about this?" And then they would find that no, the Bible doesn't speak about haircuts that way.
And here's the thing: we make it a very black and white in traditions,
Mm.
not on principles. Now,
Mm.
killing someone, that's a principle. That's a
Yeah.
commandment. That's black and white. You
Mhm.
can't change it, no
Mhm.
matter what context you give it,
Yeah.
right? But a funny haircut, and for example, right now, let's look at the camera. See my funny haircut.
Yeah, you
Uh,
just got what is that a
it's
fade?
yeah, it's called a skin fade, and now
Wow.
the barber taught me that it drops, fade drop or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And so obviously it gets to a
Yeah, it looks
point.
good. It looks good though.
It gets to a point that you can't keep on, and there's a certain type of difference. But I'm trying as much as I can
Mm.
to build bridges that
Okay.
they feel
Because
that,
that's what the young people do. Like that's how they cut their
well,
hair.
that's what a missionary does.
Okay.
A missionary should be like, how can I build bridges so that they can hear the Jesus
Mm.
message?
Yeah.
If it takes a funny haircut, I'll do the funny haircut.
So to people in the local church, that is a good reminder. It's like sometimes if we could treat our young people as our mission field, what would we do? And what you're saying is that we would be more sensitive to their culture of dress, of
Of
haircut,
music,
of music.
because music is another one. We want to make it black and white when it's not. In the Bible, is not. And you have to understand, I come from South America. We're extremely conservative in our
Hmm.
music, and that is also part of the inheritance of coming from heavily, you know, Catholicism. And so it's one of those things that we inherited, whether we like it or not, and we think of certain instruments or
Hmm.
styles
Hmm.
very differently.
Hmm.
And coming here to the States and being surrounded by different cultures and the different ways that they worship God, I was shocked at first. But then looking at the Bible and looking at different texts, I realized I was holding on more to tradition than
Mm.
anything.
Mm. So sometimes we kind of hold that over our young people.
Yeah, for sure. And so we say, hey, lead worship for our church,
Mm.
but our way.
Mm.
Preach in my church, but only our way. And
Mm.
so everything is in from the missionary perspective. Does that make sense? Like, let's say, for example, the young person wants to go in the pulpit with a pink, a pink
Yeah.
shirt,
Pink corduroys,
and then is
shirt instead
just
of like a tie and a suit. Yeah.
in some jeans, and it suddenly is like, you
Yeah.
can't be on the platform dressed like that.
Yeah.
Why? Where does it
Why
say
is
that
that?
in the
Yeah.
Bible?
Where does it
Is that
say
a
that?
principle? Or is that a norm?
Hmm.
Is that a tradition? And so
And as
the
a church, should be we be more accepting, especially of our young people who are so hard to reach sometimes? Or
yeah, because well, and this one of the ones that I will get from adults, they'll be like, well, the principle is that they have to come with the best before God.
Mhm.
What makes you think that is not their best? they pay for that jean more than $100. Is the best jean that they have.
That is their
You know,
best, right?
the pink shirt that they just, put on is their best.
Yeah.
And so, like, is the lack of understanding. And so, jumping into Growing Young, which is the green book,
Mhm.
based on research,
Yeah.
not
Mhm. What
just
does the
on
research say?
experiences. The six things, the six core commitments of churches that grow young.
Mhm.
They study a whole bunch of
Yeah,
churches.
thousands of churches.
Yeah,
And they find like, okay,
different denominations too. And
including Seventh-day Adventists, but
mm-hmm,
others, right?
mm-hmm. And they found six things that it's like these are the core things.
That
And
help students remain in church for many generations,
yeah,
right?
that the
Yeah.
churches keep on growing young,
Yeah.
and it's not just when you look into the audience, just white hair.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you can see that there are families, that there are children, that there's young people, and they just keep coming.
Yep. What do those churches do?
So number one, unlock keychain leadership, which
Mhm.
is what we spoke about me as a teenager, right? Going
Mm.
overseas, and then that unlocked leadership for me at an early age.
So that you were asked to lead
Yeah,
a certain
I was
ministry.
trusted,
You were
and I
trusted to lead.
started
Okay.
to behave according to the calling that was given to
Mm.
me.
Interesting.
So
So sometimes you may be asked to lead in a certain way, and maybe you're not used to it, but you feel that as a young person, you feel the necessity to step up.
yeah,
Wow, that's
for sure,
powerful for a young
for sure,
person, right?
yeah. Number two, empathize with today's young people.
Mm.
I mean, that's kind of like the missionary part of the story.
Mhm.
You empathize, you try to understand their culture.
Step into their shoes to see
Yes, let me
how.
see life through their eyes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when you do, you realize, there's so much blame on Gen Zs and this and that, but look at the world that we're giving to them.
Mhm.
It's broken, it's messed up. The
Yeah.
American dream is farther and farther away. You know, here's another example that I like to give. Um, let's say an older lady, maybe a grandma, comes and says, "Oh, the young people of today, what a shame. They come with their white dresses to get married, but they're not virgins. They are very bad. They've slept around with so many people. Back in my day, I was a virgin when I got married."
There was more modesty back then, is what they would say, right?
But then, if you truly want to empathize, to see number two of growing young, if you truly want to empathize, then you would try to understand. Did you know that puberty for girls now comes 2 years earlier than back when grandma was alive, or
Mhm. Or
grandma's
more,
time
or
to be a
4 years.
teenager?
Yeah.
So now puberty coming earlier, you know, certain things get awakened earlier or whatever, for whatever reason. But the average age for today, uh, for the Americans to get married is 28, 29.
Mm.
For grandma, she got married at the age of 16.
16,
So
17.
so
Wow.
puberty came at the age of 14 for grandma, and
Mhm.
she got married at the age of 16 or 17. We're
Wow.
following?
Yeah.
And today's age, puberty comes at 12,
Mm.
and she gets married at the age of 28, 29.
Wow.
Grandma, I'm
That's a lot of
sorry.
years in between there, isn't there?
You're no match for your granddaughter as to the amount of temptation that she had to resist
Mhm.
and stand strong.
In a very sexualized culture,
Thank you.
right? With
Yes, where it's
music
in
and
movies,
movies
and
and
movies in your time were not the way they are right now.
no, no.
And shows, or this, or music, or that, or the fact that we have smartphones and all these things
Mhm.
bombarded everywhere left and right.
Right.
It's a
It's a totally
completely
different.
different world.
Wow.
And you just brushed it off to just show yourself holier. When as
Mm.
if you would have been here, you probably would have gotten pregnant 3 times, grandma.
Oh, ouch.
But but do you see
So
the
it's a totally different culture and a different standard that we're trying to place on our young people that's no longer there. It's not realistic.
It's not. It's not. And we're not being fair when we judge them and we say this and that. And I have my own complaints with Gen Zs, for summer camp, for example. Uh Plug right here for summer camp.
Summer camp's coming up, right?
Cedar Falls, all right?
Camp is open
It is.
and
And
it's coming up.
we'll put the registration link, you
Yes.
know,
Sign
and
up, register. This camp is going to be amazing this summer under your leadership.
yes, under the leadership of Jesus. But here's the
Amen.
thing, it's kind of like I have my own struggles with them, and I'm like sometimes I get frustrated with Gen Zs, but
Mhm.
it's it's sometimes I'm like, they're too sensitive. You can't say this. You gotta walk on eggshells.
Mhm.
But truly is such a different world.
It's a different world. We can't impose on them the the standard from decades ago because it's a totally different world. So here in
So that
growing
was
young
number
it says that we have to have empathy
empathy.
and try to understand their world. Good. That's excellent. What else does it say?
Number three says take Jesus' message seriously. And here comes the
Mm.
thing. Many times people think, oh, I just gotta keep it very light, nothing too deep.
Well,
And
Jesus loves you and that's it.
and no, they want to take their spirituality to the next level. They're looking for that. And
Who, the young people?
yeah,
Like they're not afraid of like the radical kind of
no.
teaching that Jesus taught.
And it's like they don't want to get involved with politics or trends or just shallow religion. Hey, give us the real deal.
Mm.
So sadly, too many times we think, we just got to
We gotta
keep it on the
water it
very
down.
shallow or
Mm.
watered down. And it's like, nope. Number four, it says fuel a warm community.
Fuel a warm community.
Yeah, friendly. This is one of those things. I mean, regardless of young people, there's some churches that are just not warm whatsoever.
Mm.
I'm not gonna say which church, but we went to one event, and my wife told me, "Hey, as you stay here for the event, I'm gonna take the girls to Sabbath school at a nearby church,
Mhm.
not in our conference, okay?"
Okay.
And and so my wife drove to the place, and her experience was horrible.
Mm.
She was
They
like,
weren't friendly?
they knew I was a visitor, and I was like, "Hello, I'm new here. Where is the Sabbath school for children?" And the person was like, "Oh, that way." And so my wife
That
went.
was it?
That was it.
Not like, "Welcome,
No,
thank you
no,
for
none of that.
coming. Let me show you where it is."
No, 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 no.
Oh.
And so then my wife went that way, and if she found out that it was close, and there was nobody in there, and so she came back, and she's like, "Excuse me," and the person turns back around annoyed. I was like, the Sabbath school classroom is closed. Is it somewhere else or there's nobody? I don't know.
Wow.
So my wife just looked at these two people and just said, "No worries. Okay, I'll find my way. No worries." And as
Wow.
she sat down, she said that it was the coldest church. It was cliques everywhere.
Wow.
And I remember even when I was pastor of a local church, I was telling them sometimes I would go to their tables at potluck and I'll be like, "Hey, you see those two people over there?
Yeah.
They're visitors. Go sit with them."
Mhm. Yeah.
And they would look at me like, "Ah, ah." And then I remember one is like, "Pastor, why don't you do it?" Because I'm the pastor. And as soon as that they figure out that I'm the pastor, they think that I'm gonna baptize them. They think that I
Mhm.
I just want their money or I want this or that.
Or you have
But
to do it because 'cause you're the pastor. They wanna see if somebody will do it just because they're
correct.
interested in that.
Yeah. So, this takes training. My wife is extremely, well, she's introverted, but now she knows that when I'm busy, either teaching a Sabbath school or preaching or whatever, but she sees a visitor coming in, she will
Mhm.
run
Yeah,
towards the door to say, "Welcome.
that's
Where
right.
are you coming from?
Mhm.
Oh, what a pleasure to have you here. Do you know anybody here?" No, no, I don't. Oh, okay, don't worry. I'm going to sit you with this wonderful family.
Mhm.
They're great. And if you have any questions, you let them know.
Mm.
Here, you know.
Oh, imagine being a a young person or an old person, like, going to a new environment. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a doctor's office or anyone, and you walk in, you don't know what's gonna be on the other side. You open the door, and that's the difference, right? Somebody who's gonna welcome you, walk you through where to sit. They don't know where to sit or when's the right time to sit down. Like, they don't know the whole protocol of church. To have somebody walk them and welcome them that way is huge
It
in any
is.
setting, right?
Yeah, I think I remember listening to one particular research. It said the visitor makes his decision if they're gonna be back or not within the first 5 minutes of
Mhm.
being at church,
Yeah.
and so that means that you have to be intentional from the parking lot
Mm.
all the way
Yeah, that's right.
to the inside.
If and the basically the deciding factor might be is as simple as, are they friendly? It's not like, oh, do they have their theology? It's not like, oh, all this stuff. It's a, hey, do I feel welcome? Right? It's very simple, but it takes intentionality and to be able to have people at the door.
You have to understand uh, when a visitor comes in through your doors, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
you have to take advantage of every moment, not
Yep.
just for young people. Okay, fuel a warm community. That was number 4. Number 5 is prioritize young people everywhere.
Mm. Prioritize young people everywhere. So if someone in the local church is wanting to minister to young people, how do they prioritize young people everywhere?
Yeah, so this is not just in youth ministry, but you do it in worship, you do it in welcoming, you do it in leadership, in service, in decision making, aka the board,
Mm.
and church culture. So you have to insert them everywhere. You can't just oh, no, no, no. Young people only for youth ministry. That's where we'll put you guys.
Mhm.
But if you prioritize them,
So you
it's
have,
going to
like,
show.
you make space for them, you ask them to lead in that, you involve them, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the choosing of the decoration, in the choosing of certain styles, you'll be amazed how capable young people are
Mm.
of just doing all these things. Anyways, number 6, the last one is be the best neighbors. And by that, it means engage the local community and mission beyond church walls.
Mm. Actually, I could easily see that one, that young people are very socially conscious, right? They want to see the church doing good for the least of these in the community, right? Is that what it means?
Yeah, and that's exactly. It's not just you are listening to a sermon, but you are the sermon.
Mm.
You are doing things to be the hands and the feet of Jesus
Mm.
instead of just, you know,
Yeah.
if not, it feels just like a club.
Yep. So these are very helpful things. The part of the growing young research says that, wow, there's a misconception that if you are gonna be able to minister to young people, that you need to have like a
Lights and
band, and
a
yeah,
smoke
the
machine and
smoke
maybe some.
machine and a big, like, the rock climbing wall in the in the youth room and all that. But they're finding that
Wait, you seen that actually? A
but
rock climbing wall in a youth room?
I have. I've seen, I'll have to
Man,
tell you where that is, but
is it a conference?
not that I know of, not that I
Oh,
know
okay,
of, but
okay. I was like, wow. Okay.
you're like, you wanna go to that one.
I want to
But,
go see it.
but the research is actually finding that young people, that people have made an impression on young people following these guidelines, and that has sustained them through ministry. But that happens in churches that don't have a big youth ministry, right? So you're talking about like you were empowered into ministry and you responded to a call into mission work without all of this stuff, right? Like if I look at, it's kind of like when we look at our life and we say, hey, who were the people that really ministered to you and invested in you, or that, like, it, I could tell you in my life, it wasn't in a big youth ministry.
Mhm.
It was like the random elder who remembered my name,
Mhm.
or like the church lady who was always looking for me when I came to church to say hello. Like, it's not it's not that complex, but I still remember who those people were. Like, what is the power of the local church member who intentionally says, "Oh, I'm gonna look out for these young people. I'm gonna create an environment where they're important." Isn't that powerful?
It is, for sure. And I think when you mentor and invest on the next generation, um, and you have to give an advice or a criticism, uh, it is taken in a positive way, because then the young person believes this person loves me.
Mm,
This person knows my name. This person came to my basketball game. This
mm,
person gave me money for my graduation in middle school.
mm,
This person, showed up to when my dad was in the hospital. They care. So whenever they come, to say, hey, I think it's more proper, or this or that, and give you an advice or a correction,
mm,
there's been enough deposits of love to
mm.
be able to make an extraction.
Yeah.
And so this is where I tell people at church as well, some of you only want to make extractions
Mm,
and you've never deposited anything. So they're like,
mm.
they don't care. They just want me out of here. And then
Yeah.
they end up leaving church. So yeah, what you're saying is very, very truthful.
Yeah. I um I I hesitate to tell the story, but the deposits that we make into young people are very tangible and they could last a lifetime. Like, here we are, you and me, in leadership, in great part because somebody invested in us in a very small way in the local church. The But like you said, the opposite is also true. Now, I do want to tell you a story about when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend of mine who grew up in the church, and she didn't want to have anything to do with the church. But I prayed for her, and I wanted her to come back to her church. So one day I visited her, and I said to her, "Hey, let's go back." Her name was, well, I won't tell you her name. And I said, "Hey,"
Careful now.
I
Cut.
said, I said, "Let's go back to your church," because I wanted her to go back to her church. And she's like, "Nah, I don't want to go there. It's like they don't care about me there." I said, "Give it another chance. It's been a few years. Give it another chance." And I was so excited when she finally said, "Okay, I'll go, but I'll go with you."
Mm.
So I drove all the way to her house. I picked her up from church. We drove to her church, and then we got there, and we were sitting in church, and she happened to be chewing gum when she came into the church. And we sat down. This is decades ago. This is when I was a teenager. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
so I'm sure that maybe that doesn't happen anymore, right? We sit down in church, and I was just so thankful. I was just happy that she said yes, that she was sitting in the church. And within a few minutes, there was this lady who came by. She was wearing like a black dress, and she had a little diaconisa sign on her. And then she handed this little piece of paper, and they had to hand it down because we were sitting in the middle of the pew. And she handed it down, and inside the little piece of paper there was a little circle, and it was printed, and it said, "Place your gum here." And there was a little circle. So they gave it to her to put her gum into that. And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh hard. Like, if they only knew how difficult it was to get her to come to church today, maybe they would have, like you said, at least tried to get to know her, tried to do some deposits, tried to, like, that whole missionary. It's like you go to as a
Mm-hmm.
missionary, and she wasn't. Trust me, she was not dressed appropriately, and I think maybe she was trying to see how much the church had changed since the last time she was there. She might not have been dressed appropriately. She was chewing gum, she had all kinds of paint on her face, all that stuff. But imagine if I think about what you just said. If they would have treated her like they would like when a missionary goes,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they would have taken a little bit more time to say, "Wow, we're just happy she's here. We're just happy she's back."
What
Right?
did she What did she say?
It wasn't good, and she didn't have a good experience. And I don't know if she ever went back. In fact, I'm not sure if she ever went back. Um, but she didn't put her gum away. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that is such a powerful, it's a powerful reminder, and I thank you for bringing that to us today, here on the podcast. To remember that when we're working with our young people, we gotta step into the mission field, try to understand them better before we try to correct them. I think, isn't that what we tend to do? We try to correct them way more quickly than we try to understand them. Is that correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Well, thank you, Paulo, for giving us some advice about trying to understand our young people. And I know that in the local church that we love our young people. We love for our young people to be a greater part of our church and to sustain faith throughout their life and to contribute to the world. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of trying to understand them before we try to correct them. Now, we also know that you're going to be talking about Gen Z at Equip 26. Equip is kind of a conference-wide training event where ministry leaders from around Southern California conference can come to learn about some helpful topics about how to minister in the local church. And you're going to be teaching a seminar. Is that correct?
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
about it. What's it called and what is it about?
Uh, so it's about Gen Z's, pretty much understanding Gen Z's,
Mm.
and yeah, just come sign up for it. Do you have to sign up for it?
We would love for people to register, and we'll have a link in the description. Tell us about to so that you can see what classes are being offered and all of that. You'll be able to see the classes that are being offered, and you'll be able to sign up for a class. But I can't wait to see your class on Gen Z. It'll help us to understand the Gen Z culture and the mindset and how we could minister to Gen Z. Is that correct?
Yeah, which is changing, of course,
It's constantly
day by
changing.
day. It's pretty wild out there, but yeah, ultimately, the Holy Spirit can guide us to reach anybody for the kingdom.
And you're seeing it, right? There are some churches who are very simple, no big budget, but they're understanding and empowering young people to serve in a local church. Don't we see that?
Yeah, for sure, and once again, basing ourselves not on traditions. There was a quote that was saying, we decided to keep our traditions and lose our children.
Mm.
And so I would like to do the opposite. Let's keep our children and forget traditions
At
that
the
are not
expense of
biblical.
tradition
I'm not talking about principles, like we said.
in the Bible.
Yeah,
It's just tradition.
but
Yeah.
traditions
Well, thank you
like the
so.
gum.
Yeah, like the gum,
Come
right?
on.
Yeah. So thank you, Paula, so much for helping us to understand young people and for all the work that you're doing in our conference. And I know that young people are excited to know you and to work with you. And the future of our young people in our conference is bright. And thank you so much for joining us here at the Ministry Path podcast. And thank you so much, Paolo, for joining us on this. And we can't wait to see each of you at Equip 26 on May 16th at 3 p.m. at Grace Hill at Vallejo Drive for an exciting day of training for our ministry leaders. Thank you, Paulo, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.